If you are an established business owner who is looking at starting a second business, pivoting into a different business, or basically moving away from what you are currently doing into something else, then make sure you watch this video to the very end. I'm going to break down one of my biggest learning lessons, something that I have, a mistake I have made multiple times that hopefully you can avoid making. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making is not using their own competitive advantages. This sounds like common sense, but I see it happen all the time. A lot of business owners, especially if you have already run, a multi-million-dollar company, a 7-8-figure business, somewhere in that range, at that stage, you probably have a couple things that you are uniquely good at. You have a couple competitive advantages of sorts. Maybe you have a really world-class skill in one specific domain. You're a great sales manager. You're a great marketer. You have niche product knowledge. Or maybe it's something like you have really good relationships in a certain industry. Maybe you're very well connected in crypto, or you're very well connected in healthcare or something. Or maybe you even have a competitive advantage, like the fact that you're rich, you have deep pockets, you can afford to front a lot of upfront costs that you can go into that have, businesses that have higher barriers to entry. Whatever it is, as a business owner, if you have competitive advantages in some way, shape, or form, it's very, very stupid to not utilize those competitive advantages. Yet I see people make this mistake time and time again. They find something that they're interested in and not necessarily something where they have like a key unique advantage. So let me walk you through an example here. A lot of my friends are, fractional sales managers, or they're founders who kind of used to be a sales guy and are very good at, sales process, sales team management, sales team recruiting. They can put together a sales team and run it extremely well. If you're someone like that, you should be going into a vehicle where that is very, very important. For example, if you're a fractional sales manager, a good route that you can look into is going into SaaS. Instead of like starting your own SaaS company, because, if you're a sales guy, you probably aren't a developer, you probably don't know how to code, you probably don't really know a lot of developers realistically. Instead of going that route, you can partner with an existing SaaS company, like a low-level SaaS company, sub $1 million a year, go to them, come on as a CRO, take a decent equity stake in the company, help the company to raise money, and then try to scale it to the moon and exit it. That is a route that has a ton of potential. It's very aligned with the skill sets of your average fractional sales manager. Not only that, but you also don't have to be the CEO and the founder of the company. You don't have to put a lot of your own money down to hold. That's one route that a lot of sales managers could take that is very high upside. It weaponizes their strengths. Now, if you're a sales manager, something that you probably wouldn't want to do is go into a vehicle where your strengths are kind of irrelevant. For example, e-commerce. If you start an e-commerce brand, most e-commerce brands don't really have a sales team. It's like selling lower ticket products. If you're selling supplements, you're selling clothing, you're selling just basic items that cost like less than $200. It doesn't really make sense to have a sales team there. And if you do, it's probably more of a call center that is calling like abandoned carts, not necessarily closing like $10,000, $20,000 deals. So if you're a sales manager, you don't really have a competitive advantage in something like e-commerce. For someone like me, I'm a fractional CMO. I live, eat, breathe ads all day long. I look at ad accounts all day. That's all I do. I create ads, I launch them, and I print money with them. In addition to that, I'm pretty connected in this space. A lot of people hit me up on a daily basis to, come in, run their ads. For someone like me, e-commerce would make sense. For someone who is a sales manager, for example, it's just not very congruent. It's not aligned with your skill sets. It's not aligned with your network of that sort. So if you're looking at pivoting in some sort of other business model or starting something new, make sure it aligns with what it is that you're already good at, because that is going to give you the biggest route to being successful from day one. I've made this mistake time and time again. It has cost me a lot of money over the last few years, so hopefully it doesn't do the same for you. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments.